Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great, what is today, Tuesday? Holy cow. So Bitcoin didn't do well today. Miners didn't do well today either. We have some good news stories for Bitcoin adoption happening here, continuing on. We have Blackrock buying like crazy. We'll have other things that we want to talk about. As far as the miners, we'll take a look at the sats, comparing the miners to each other. What do you get as far as how many sats were mined per share there, and HODL and things like that. We'll take a look at those numbers. We'll also look at institutions, the latest data that we have on those guys. Are institutions still buying into them? We'll look at all that, and then we'll get into Q&A. So it should be pretty short and sweet today, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But let me see here. We got to do this as always. Not financial advice, for him only. Do your own research, right? Full disclosure below that. And then if you enjoy this type of content, as always, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened with Bitcoin here. The good thing with Bitcoin today is that it actually went down just slightly below the 50-day simple moving average, and it bounced off of there. And it closed actually above the 50-day simple moving average, so that's kind of good there. We're above it right now as well on a new day. So Bitcoin was down today 2.12%. Miners did like 2 to 3x worse than that today, as always, it seems like, recently. And then today Bitcoin's up on the new day, up just a little bit right now, 0.44, but we did come down and like touch that very, very line here of the 50 simple day moving average, which is good, possibly, as long as we can stay above it. The reason I say it's good, and possibly good, as long as we can stay above it, is because if we look back here, follow that line all the way back here, going all the way back to way over here. This was back in December of last year, right? We did the same thing where we touched it, went back up, we came back down, touched it once, touched it twice, went back up, and then we actually fell below it, came back above it, fell below it, and then we finally started going down, right? So I'm hoping it's not a continuation of what we saw here last year in December, where things are looking like we might fall back down another 20-30% from here, right? Are the market makers, squeezing out as much as they can out of Bitcoin currently, right? Testing our patience. Bitcoin is testing our patience really right now, because historically, if we look at other cycles, Bitcoin should be like in rally mode right now. It should be going up much higher than where it's at. So that's why I'm keeping a close eye on this to see if it's going to play out possibly the same way as it has here, which I would not like to see. Because at that point, we would be extending out, possibly going into like October, November before we get a bounce, right? If we basically go sideways and fall even further, it's going to take us into July, August, September, and then possibly from there we could bounce up. So I'm hoping that that's not the case. I hope that the adoption that we're seeing here is sustained, and I think it might be, but there's obviously a small chance that we might go sideways, accumulation phase, correction phase again, and then go back up. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, though, but let me know what you guys think, if you guys are thinking the same thing, or if you're seeing the same thing as well. But yeah, so we're at a precipice right now with Bitcoin. We need to either bounce, or we're going to be going down a little bit lower here on Bitcoin if it doesn't hold this 50-day simple moving average right now. So that's Bitcoin on today. Miners obviously didn't do too well today. Markets didn't do well also. Bitfarms was down 5.48% today. BitTier was down 6.34%. It got close to the 200 SMA. Cypher was down 6.36%. It's right now hovering right at the 100 SMA as it is. Cleanspark, same thing, got down to the 100 SMA, closed right about there. It was down 7.48%. CORZ was down 1.57%. That one is bouncing on the 200 SMA. Hive was down 7.37%. It closed below the 50-day SMA right now as it is. HUT8 was down 7.96%. It closed below the 200 SMA, so that one might be coming down more and testing the 100 SMA. IREN was down 6% here. It's still above the 200 SMA, so that's good. Mara was down 4.24%. It closed above the 100 SMA for now at least. Riot was down 5% here. It went below the 200 SMA, but closed above it, so that's looking good. Wolf was down 8.78%. It's still between the 100 and 200 SMAs as it is. MicroStrategy was down just a little bit, 1.85%. Galaxy was down 4.2%. Who else do we have here? GME was down 1.42%. The blockchain group was down 13% today. Had a big drop there. On that, small miners were down also for the most part, except for DigiPower here. This one has been on a tear recently. If anybody bought into that one, you guys are doing pretty good. I'm not sure what's going on there. Might be the SMA play. Not the SMA, what is it? The small modular SMR, small modular reactor play that they have there. On that one, the ETFs for Bitcoin miners were all down today, 3%, 5%, 4%, 5% roughly, more or less. So not a good day for us. But Bitcoin being down just a little bit today, the miners definitely took it on the chin today, unfortunately. And right? We really need Bitcoin to go up much, much higher here in order for the miners to do much, much better than what they have been doing here right now as it is. All right, so that's it on the news that we have here. Let's take a look at the network hash rate. We haven't looked at this in a couple weeks now. I think like two weeks or so. So let's see where that's stacking up right now. On the 7-day average, it is back up to 900 exahash as it is. 30-day average has been, well, it came down from a peak here of 899, went down to a low of 882. We're back up to 893 more or less on that one, so it's still not too bad. It's still kind of going sideways a little bit. Sideways and up, slowly. So that's at least a good sign there for at least now. Looking at Bitcoin here for the month of June right now, it's only up 0.59%. Not a great performance from Bitcoin here in June right now. We'll see where we end up at. We still have, basically what, 14 days left, or more or less, of trading. We'll see where we end up by the end of the month here. Bitcoin ETF inflows for today, we may have a negative. We'll have to wait and see what Blackrock does, right? Blackrock is usually the determining factor there on these every day, and we'll see if they actually sold some today or not. If they did, then we're going to definitely be in a negative because somebody sold quite a bit here. 208 million and 191 million. Who were those? Those were ARK and Fidelity sold quite a bit there. But we do have a story about how much actually BlackRock has been buying here recently. We'll take a look at that in a second here. So here's the good news stories that we do have here so far. And these are my bookmarks, so that one shouldn't be it. There we go. First story that we have here is Singapore-based agricultural commodities trader Davis Commodities Limited announces a $30 million initiative to modernize operations, and they're allocating up to 40% to build Bitcoin reserves, starting with a $4.5 million investment. Right, another company that's putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. This is great news. Next here is grocery store giant Spar is officially rolling out Bitcoin Lightning payments in Liechtenstein. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but you guys, Liechtenstein. One of the largest retail chains in Europe, so this is huge, right? More Bitcoin adoption here, being able to use that. We do have, Steak and Shake here in the United States that's allowing Bitcoin as well for payments. So it's, daily, slowly but surely, we're getting more and more adoption with Bitcoin usage as a payment method as well. That's nice to see also. Love seeing that. And then this here, 1.6 trillion Bank of America just acknowledged Bitcoin is, we already talked about this one, didn't we? Is once in a lifetime. We talked about that yesterday. Why did that pop up again today? But so that was good news. Oh, and then BlackRock here. BlackRock Bitcoin's ETF, IBIT, bought 6 Bitcoin today, it looks like. So they did actually buy some. So based on this news, they bought at least some, so that should be positive inflows, but still very low. Yesterday, they bought 2,450. On Friday, they bought 2,270. On Thursday, they bought 2,680. On Wednesday, they bought 1,204. On Tuesday of last week, they bought 3,067. And last Monday, previous week, they bought 1,113. There's only 450 Bitcoin that are being mined per day, right? These guys are swallowing up all the supply and then some, right? So that's why we're seeing also the exchanges getting low on Bitcoin. We're seeing OTC getting low on Bitcoin because you have BlackRock buying, you got Sailor buying, you got other companies buying as well. Eventually, I think we're gonna eventually see a squeeze on Bitcoin because the supply is just not gonna be there while the demand is still increasing here. So that's why I'm thinking that maybe we won't have a pullback like we did in December of last year, where we went down for a number of months here because of all the adoption that we're seeing with all these companies, states, countries, everything else happening here. I think we'll eventually shoot back up. So perhaps Bitcoin is coiling up right now before the next run up here. And it could be just also the market makers are trying to liquidate as much retail as they can, right? With these kind of price swings up and down, trying to squeeze as much as they can possibly out of it right now before the next leg up. But only time will tell on that, and hopefully it comes faster than later. All right, next here we're going to take a look at some metrics on the miners here as far as stats are concerned here. So we look at this monthly as always. Stats on miners. So we look at stats mined per share. We look at also HODL stats per share. And then BTC per exahash efficiency on the miners, see how they did in comparison to each other here. So sats mined, more is better, right? You're getting more bang for your buck, basically, more bang for your shares that you have there. IREN came in number 1 with 279 sats per share that you own, basically. So that's what you're getting as an investor there. Marathon 265, Cleanspark 247, Riot 144, BitDeer 100, Hive 89, CORZ Scientific at 62, and Cypher at 43. So the best ones are IREN, Marathon, Cleanspark right now, in my opinion, as it is. And then HODL per stats per share here, Marathon obviously has the most HODL. They have over close to 50,000, I think now. So you're getting 13,974 sats per share there, basically, based on their HODL position. Riot at 5,381, and Cleanspark at 4,450. And then you got BitDeer at 687, Hive at 393, Core at 328, Cypher at 260, and IREN doesn't HODL anything, so you're not getting anything there for it as it is. Okay? And then BTC per exahash efficiency for last month. This lets us know how efficient they were. Marathon did a fantastic job here. They came in at number 1 with 15.98 efficiency, followed by IREN at 15.28, and then pretty close behind was Cleanspark at 15.22. And then we got Riot at 14.52, which is also nice to see. Riot has been performing here a little bit better here. BitDeer at 14.41, Hive at 13.36, Cypher at 13.26, and Core at 12.48. All right, so this kind of tells me which operators are really good right now. Obviously, Marathon had a fabulous month in May as far as production is concerned. IREN, along with Cleanspark, I would say even Riot and BitDeer as well have done really good there. Excuse me. And then as far as sats mined, right, what you're getting per share, I think this is also quite important to take a look at. IREN, Marathon, and Cleanspark, like I said, and HODL. Well, you know Marathon's got the biggest HODL there as it is, right? But they're not being really valued on that, or they're not being valued on their operations as it is. So that's the way that all shakes up. We'll leave that. And then let's take a look at institutions here. Have institutions been buying into these miners here in the past 6 months and last month? What's the difference between those? What's changed in the last 6 months and what month over month, basically. So here's what we got. Analyst high value change, or analyst high price targets changed from 6 months ago. So we have pretty much everybody down here as of last week, I believe it was when I checked all this for these guys here. BitDeer is down $13 as far as the analyst high targets. Those have come down $13. Marathon's come down $12 from that. Cleanspark's down $5. CORZ down $3 along with Riot. IREN is down $2 along with Cypher. And Hive is the only one that's actually up a little bit here, $1 and change over the last 6 months. Big thing for them is obviously the growth they're having here to 25 exahash by the end of the year. I think that was a catalyst that kind of had analysts re-rate them, I guess you could say, right? So we're seeing that. And then the month-over-month difference here on analyst high price targets change here, month-over-month. So BitDeer is flat along with Cleanspark, Riot, CORZ Scientific, Cypher, Hive is flat. IREN's actually up $1 here, month-over-month on the analyst targets, an increase, and Marathon's up $3 from that. Okay. So there's that part of it. Analyst high price difference from current stock value. So this is the difference of where the analyst thinks the stock should be at the high price and where the stock now, what's the difference between that. And we can see here that Marathon has the biggest, I guess you could say, delta between the two. It's got a difference of $18.33. Cleanspark $16, IREN $14, BitDeer $13, Riot $12, $11 for Core, $9 for Hive, $5 for Cypher. Right? You're seeing the same kind of thing that we saw here with the stats, where Marathon, Cleanspark, and IREN were like the top three there as far as what you're getting in, as far as production is concerned, right? So those guys definitely seem to be way undervalued from where they really should be. Based on that, analyst high price percent difference from current stock valuation. So this is what you would basically get from where we are right now. Hive would have an increase of 625% if it gets to the analyst price targets for the high value. On it, Cleanspark would be up 280%, IREN 245%, Cypher 244%, Riot 227%, Marathon 224%, BitDeer 204%, and Core 183%. So if you go by the analyst price targets for the high value, Hive would have the most upside right now if it was able to capitalize on it. Right? And maybe they will be able to capitalize on it. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see in the next 6 months as they grow to get to 25 exahash. Next year, current stock price, so you can see where they are right now as of today. Marathon has the biggest highest stock price, Hive the lowest. That's why Hive could have the possibly highest upside there if things work out that way for them. And that is it on the institution side of things. And I missed part of it. I missed this part up here. I knew I was missing something. I'm like, something I'm missing. Okay. So here's the price percent difference from 6 months ago and the shares added. So this is looking at the stock performance. This is the shares added by the institutions here in the last 6 months, the difference between that, right? How much was been added. And we can see here that everybody's pretty much down here in the red right now as it is. as far as price stack performance. BitTier being down the most here, 41%, with Hive 38%, Cypher down 20, Core down 15, Marathon down 12, Riot down 5, Cleanspark down 3%, and IREN being only down half a percentage point as it is. But the institutions continue to buy into these guys here, right? Especially Cypher, 150 million shares bought by the institutions here in the last 6 months, the difference between that. And they're down 20% here. Who else was a pretty big buy here? Riot, 75.5 million, Cleanspark, 69.4, along with IREN, 67 million shares added by institutions. So they're continuing to buy in. Who else you got? BitTier up 19 million shares. I mean, everybody's positive as far as institutions buying into them over the last 6 months here. When we look at the price difference and the shares added over the last month here, things look a little bit different here. Over the last month, we got IREN being up 13%, Core being up 8%, Riot being up 8%, and everybody else is in the negative territory. Cypher being down 2, Cleanspark being down 8, Marathon down 9, Hive down 15, BitTier down 18. But shares added, we saw BitTier still had institutions buying into it. They bought another 3.3 million shares. Hive, we saw institutions sell out of them, 1.6 million, along with Marathon 3.3 and Cleanspark 3.7 million being sold out there. Cypher had another 18 million shares bought into them. Riot has institutions sold out, 12.8 million. Core Scientific, 9.5 million sold out there as well. And IREN had 18.4 million shares being bought in by institutions. So that one had the most here. And we can see the price actually did pretty good. Well, I don't know if it was because of that or not, because we can see here Cypher was being bought up, but then stock price was going down anyways. So was it more retail? Probably. It was retail that was selling out. Retail didn't have the patience there. Percentage owned by institutions here. Core Scientific is the most owned, 87%. Cypher second there at 80%. IREN at 66%, along with Cleanspark. Marathon 64%. Riot 62%. BitTier 26%, and Hive 24%. So if you think about it here, if Hive can get back up to over here, if they can get up to that price point, right? Wherever they're supposed to be up higher. Where's Hive? $9.24, right? The difference there. If they're able to get that 625% increase, and you see a lot more flowing into them from institutions, that there is a chance it could, possibly do that with institutions buying into them. Excuse me. Just depends how much retail is going to be selling and how much they dilute also. So that always plays into it as well. Okay, so that's it on the institution side of things. So yes, for the most part, over the last 6 months, institutions have been buying in. We still see some buying in on the institution side of things here in the last month. We saw more buying in the prior month, I think it was. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this, see which direction the wind is blowing with institutions. Are they still buying in? In June, right? We'll see that sometime in July. We'll look at that as well and see how that is progressing here for these guys, right? On it, but just kind of interesting to take a look at it as well. So that is it. So that's all I got for you guys for metrics and analysts, institutions, and all that stuff for you guys here. As always, spreadsheet's going to be available to my Patreon members. Thank you to all those guys and gals for their support there. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you to you guys here for coming in every night and listening to me rant about the miners. But yeah, I'm still long-term bullish on this stuff. I am looking to buy some more here if we dip a little bit more. And I'm hoping to be buying maybe next week. I'm hoping. I'll get the final bill for my roof maybe tomorrow, I think, and I'll see how much that damage has done to my wallet. So we'll see. All right, but that's it. Let's get into Q&A here, see what you guys have to say. As always, if you guys preface the question with a question mark or a Q, I greatly appreciate it. And let me scroll up on the comments and questions if there's any, and we'll work our way down here. Let's see what we got here. All right. All right. Halo Bomb says we could be on a third leg up inverse head and shoulders pattern. Okay. So hopefully it does play out that way and that we don't actually go down to the downside here. Financial earnings in the house. Hey, I saw you were at Sandersville in Cleanspark. I'm looking forward to seeing a video on that. That looks pretty interesting. I don't know if this was the first place you visited. Just like to know what your thoughts were on visiting Cleanspark's Sandersville location, I think it was. Let's see. He's saying hoping derivatives plays aren't in full swing where larger holders sell off their position to collect derivative premiums. If they buy more BTC with the premiums, that would help stabilize, okay? Yeah, I mean, anything that could be done to help stabilize Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin has kind of stabilized here where it's at right now. It's been bouncing between 112 and 103, 102, whatever it's been. It's just in this kind of accumulation phase, it seems like, again. Okay. Financial earnings says need to keep BTC above 100,000 to close out solid the earnings for the Treasury holders for the month of June. Yes, that's the end of our Q2 here. Even if we go a little bit below it, I think we'll still be above 100,000 on average for Bitcoin. But yeah, you're looking at the end of the month. Yeah, so we do really want it to be above 100,000. That'd be great. All right. Let's see. Where are all the OTC desks getting all the BTC from? A lot of them are getting it from the miners, actually. Right. So when the miners sell, they will sell it to the OTC desk because they don't want to have a negative impact on the market of Bitcoin usually. So you'll see a lot of Bitcoin miners selling it to the OTC desks, and also whales as well. So that's kind of where you're seeing it. All right, John's got a question here. With all the countries and big players buying up a ton of Bitcoin, why is it dropping? Are more retailers selling than all the big players buying? It does seem that way, right? You're seeing obviously MicroStrategy, BlackRock, others as well buying into it. So who's selling, right? Is it the big guys? It could be also the big guys doing it. It could be also retail. Retail is, is losing patience. Which Bitcoin, like I said, it has not been acting like it has in the prior cycles. Completely different cycle altogether. It's more controlled by the big guys, unfortunately, by the market makers. So we are at their mercy right now, and it is tough for people to hold on for it. When you're seeing Bitcoin go sideways for X amount of months while other things are maybe popping, you're like, well, why am I in this when I can be doing that? So you got traders doing it as well. But if you're in it for the long term, you should be used to this volatility as it is right now. Right? I've been in it since 2017. I'm kind of numb to it for the most part. Yeah, it does hurt when it goes down 10, 20, 30%, whatever it is. But at that point, I look at it as a sale, and I'd probably want to be buying more. So I should have probably been buying more Bitcoin than I did the miners. And maybe that's something I'll change going forward here is accumulate more Bitcoin than I do the miners going forward. So we'll see. 8 says, price has to squeeze, then the miners can supply the market at the very high rate. Yep. Okay, Omar's got a question here. Let's see, why didn't it pop up? There it is. With Trump and company stacking SBR legislation and interest rate cuts projected in September, the trade deals wars, it seems like Q4 pump. Would you agree? Yeah, if we get rate cuts, that would help. If we get wars figured out and done with, I think that would also help. Maybe Q3, maybe I would think maybe Q3 and Q4. I mean, we could see a nice rally here in July and August, and September even as well. But we'll see. Okay. I'm not going to be pronouncing your name, Shubham. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. Sorry if I'm not. Are you buying miners in this fall? If yes, which all? Which ones am I going to be buying? So it's the ones that I own already. So it's going to be more likely I'm going to be buying more Cleanspark, more IREN, and maybe I'll buy some more Mara as well. Okay, Neville's got a question here, or maybe a statement. I think Bitfarms does a reverse split during Q4, Q1 of next to be immediately followed by dilution before the bear sets in. A higher stock price from the bull plus ARS means less future dilution. That's if we get into a bear market. I'm not so sure we're going to be in another bear market. Could we have a correction? Yeah, I think we could have a correction, 30%. Or at least around there, but I don't know if we're going to be in another bear market. I think there's just too many companies and too much adoption happening where they hodl it all. I mean, unless it's going to be retail driven and retail's going to be selling out like crazy, which is a possibility there. But I don't know. Right now, I just don't see it. I could be wrong on that. All right. Neville says, let's see, talked about that one already. See. And we all know they need to raise funds. Not really. They have the $350 million that they got from, where did they get that from? They have $50 million now. They have access to another $300 million. So to build out their HPCI things that they want to do. So I don't know if it's, I don't think they need to dilute yet. I know that they're selling more of their Bitcoin there. We don't know exactly what's going on because they don't report monthly, but I know lastly they've been selling a little bit more Bitcoin here to fund their operations and things. All right, it says if demand is outpacing supply, then it's a no-brainer. These stocks pump at some point. That is my understanding as well, and my thought process behind it also. So I'm with you on there. I would think that they would pump eventually. Are we still ending of Q4? Historically, that's kind of where we would be ending. This time around, I've said this, like I keep saying, the cycle is completely different. So I don't know. We could have an extended cycle, which I'm leaning more towards that, which then could push us into 2026 as well, possibly, and maybe even 2027, where Bitcoin just goes through these kind of periods of accumulation, corrections, and then goes up, and then we do another correction of 20, 30%, whatever it might be, for an extended period of time, and then we go back up, right? Where it's not that 70, 80% drop that we've seen before in Bitcoin. So, and the only way we're going to know is when we're past it or in it at that point. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. If Trump loses the midterms, it's lights out for the federal SBR. You better hope the next president likes it. Well, that's not for another year or so before, year and 3 months, 15 months roughly before we have the midterms, right? They can still get the SBR done by then. And I think they're trying to get it done this summer as well. So, but we'll see. Dynamite Chet, are we cooked? I don't think we're cooked yet. We still have time. It's our patience being tested right now as it is. Dad's Market Stats here. Good evening, Seb. Good evening to you as well. I'm now a proud owner of 800 Cleanspark, 1,300 Bitfarms, and sold puts for 800 Cypher shares. Very nice. So you're buying the dip there. Now it says BTC to 250, 300,000. Not financial advice. It's crazy how we see Bitcoin absolutely blow estimates out of the water after each halving, and each time we doubt BTC will do it again. I would love to see it. I think we're going to be above 200,000 this cycle. I don't know exactly if we're going to get close to 300,000, but I'd love to see it. But yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. All right. Which miners would you prefer buying in the fall? It all depends where Bitcoin's at. Bitcoin's going up in a nice trajectory. I would probably be holding onto what I have. I wouldn't be buying depending where the miners are going, right? If the miners are going up in value, I probably wouldn't be buying any. The only reason I would buy another miner is if they get a nice HPCI deal or something like that, right? So if IREN gets a deal for, an X number of years, X number of billions of dollars, I might add on at that point because I think that's going to be valued higher as time goes on. So if that news comes out, I might be able to buy more. Let's see, Sour's got a question here. If BTC looks like it'll continue up without a bear market, will you hold miners longer term or still sell in the next year or so? So what we've seen here recently is, at least this cycle, is we're seeing what I've been saying is Bitcoin corrects for like 30% over a longer period of time. Miners get hammered at that point. They're down 60, 70%. So if we reach, I'm thinking I'm going to take some profits probably when we start going back up on the miners. If the miners do a 2x from here, I'm probably going to take some profits at that point, because if Bitcoin corrects then again 30%, the miners will go down 60%. I can maybe buy them again. Maybe. I don't know. And kind of rinse and repeat the process, bring them back up, right? Maybe sell them again and then buy them lower. Maybe do that kind of thing. But we'll have to wait and see where we end up at. Where does Bitcoin get to? Where do the miners get to as well? We'll have to wait. I was expecting a different cycle this time around, like the ones we've had in the past. It is completely different, so we may have to adjust to the market as it is right now. Okay. At what BTC price you think Bitfarms will be profitable or at least break even if they don't get AI customer in the next 2 years? Their current break even based on just cash output that I have is around like $70,000 per Bitcoin, right? That's just cash costs. That doesn't include share-based compensation, depreciation, right? If you include those things, you're going to need Bitcoin probably like in the levels that we're at right now. I'm guessing somewhere between 90 and 100,000, something like that. But that's not taking into account the new facilities that they have also from Stronghold. So it might be less or it might be higher, somewhere around there. But that's kind of where I would think they would be at. Seb, how are you liking your BBAI? BBAI? What is that? Drawing a blank on that one. Which one is that? Okay. Omar's got a question here. SBR had a 180-day review period. We're well into that, right? We should be, depending on when it was put in. So it might not be 180 days yet. I think the news should come out in Q3. I have to check when Trump signed the SBR executive order. That was probably in early February, I think it was signed. Early to mid-February. For them to get that working, like the working group and things like that to get it going. Yeah, so it should be like Q3, Q4 at the latest, I think. All right. If Bitcoin keeps climbing, do you think the halving will affect the shares again much? Yes, I think the halving will affect it. Because there's no way of getting around it. Their revenue's going to get cut in half again. Regardless, if Bitcoin's at 300,000 at the next halving, their revenue's going to get cut in half, so they're now making basically half of what they made before that. So I think it's going to impact the miners nonetheless at that point. Okay. All right. What month this year would you exit miners if we get no pump and BTC is rising? Depending where BTC rises, I mean, Bitcoin goes to 120,000, we get no pump, I'll still hold on to them. Right? If Bitcoin gets to 180,000, the miners still aren't rising, and maybe at that point I would sell and be like, okay, this is a lost cause. But then watch it, Bitcoin gets to 190,000, the miners go up 3x. Who knows? But that's just kind of the way I would look at it. See where Bitcoin is, see where the miners are at. Does it still make sense to hold them at that point? I'm still in the green on all these guys right now as it is, except for Bitfarms. Cleanspark, IREN, and Mawson, I'm in the green. Cleanspark, I'm up nicely. IREN recently has been doing pretty good as well, so I'm happy with what I got, at least right now. All right, so let's see. Spin says, Big Bear AI. Okay, Big Bear AI. Okay. What is that one at right now? Is that one doing pretty good? I haven't checked on that one in a while here. Let's see here. On X. Nope, I want this one. BBAI. Well, it's definitely pulled back from where it was, right when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Let me see here. Take a look at the screen here. So it peaked at 1036 here, looks like, back in February. I think we talked about it somewhere in like March or April, which was already down as it is. But since then, it's actually gone up here a little bit. But yeah, I'm not really paying attention to it right now. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it, see where it goes, along with everything else that I got to do research on still. Got too much work to do. It's tough. It's not easy. All right, let's get back here to Q&A on that one. And I got a thunderstorm rolling through, so if I lose power or anything like that, I'm letting you guys know. I may be offline here. All right, let's see. Financial Earnings says, this was my first site visit. Okay, very nice. That's awesome. It was neat seeing their build-out phases and newer ASIC models being added throughout. The 230 megawatt site could literally use its own gas turbine engine for this much power. Yeah, it could, yeah. And then probably a couple of those things. At that point, yeah, I mean, the sites are pretty cool. The way that they have them done, not only them, but others as well. And if you've never been into a Bitcoin mining farm, I had a small one, so I kind of know what they look like. The ones that are pretty cool are the ones that are like immersion cooling. I think those are neat because they're quiet. I'm sure the one you were in was pretty noisy. The one we had was small that I was managing, and man, that thing was even noisy. But we had also, well, they have fans running too. Those things get noisy. So hopefully you guys had hearing protection when you were in there, or they had it shut off for whatever reason. But that's awesome. Great to hear you were able to visit there. Okay. Let's see. Big Bear AI. So yeah, you talked about covering it. Yes. Well, we covered it slightly. Go back a couple of videos, probably a month or two videos back. I think it's in there. I got to get more into the AI stuff, I know. Okay. Ben says, thanks, Seb, for the show. You're very welcome. Omar says, thanks. You're very welcome as well. Yeah, I think I'm caught up to all you guys' questions here. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is at 104. It's down 1% now. It looks like on this chart at least. Where's Bitcoin on this one over here? Let's see. It's still in the green a little bit, at least on this one here. So we'll see where Bitcoin goes tomorrow. I like the fact that it's at least bouncing off the 50 SMA. We'll see if it continues going forward. I would imagine it should, but we'll see. And then we'll cover whatever else we have left to cover the miners later on this week. I think we're going to look at also the minus percentage of the network hash rate. We'll look at that tomorrow. And then anything else that I have left to cover for you guys there. Okay. And if we don't have anything else on the miner side of things, maybe I'll get some more work done on the AI side of things. But yeah, that's it. As always, thank you so much for coming in. Greatly appreciate you guys. Love you all for coming in here as always. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, bye.